Senator Menendez from New Jersey is
Mr. Chairman,
recognized.
thank you for holding this very important hearing. You know, I hear too often from both FEMA and special interest groups who are completely out of touch with disaster victims that premiums need to be raised sky high on policyholders to bring down costs. But these calls to raise premiums foolishly ignore the fact that FEMA's huge administrative costs should be reformed to provide premium savings. Insurance companies that bear none of the financial risk receive 30 cents for every premium dollar written as compensation. What's worse is that the insurance companies also get to use high-priced attorneys that drag out claims litigation and force FEMA and policyholders to pick up the tab. Pretty incredible. Mr. Quinn, do you find that policyholders are getting their money's worth on these administrative costs that they're paying for?
No, Senator. In most cases, and I will speak as a policyholder, we are outraged that our premium dollars are being wasted by engineering firms, insurance companies, and law firms who are committing fraud to cheat the program and cheat policyholders. We see this over and over, and certainly 30 cents on the dollar going to the write your own insurance companies, 10 cents on the dollar going to pay for the debt to the Treasury just to service the debt. How are you going to operate a program with 60 cents on the dollar, sir? So what we're finding is this program is not necessarily actuarially unsound. It's the fact that it's being bilked by politically connected attorneys, engineering firms, and insurance companies. And of course, the policyholders get to go for the ride.
My bipartisan NFIP REACT lowers their compensation, the insurance entities, to 22.46%, the same cost that FEMA incurs to run the program in-house. It also overhauls the claims process so that FEMA and government lawyers handle claim lawsuits so they act in the best interest of all parties. We had outrageous realities of engineering companies who changed their studies in order to avoid payment, dictated by a federal judge in New York as such. We had lawyers who racked up huge bills, all to fight the policyholders. You know, FEMA's new risk rating 2.0 premium methodology is starting to take effect around the country, and Congress still has no idea how much in premiums FEMA will be charging our constituents. Here's what we do know. FEMA has projected that an overwhelming amount of policyholders will face compounding 18% per year annual increases for years to come. FEMA and CBO estimate that nearly 20% of policyholders will drop NFIP coverage due to risk rating 2.0. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that insurance is about spreading the risk over the widest pool possible. 20% of the policyholders drop it. You have now dramatically limited the pool and you've increased the costs. Mr. Quinn, can working families handle these types of increases? What will happen to those families who are forced to drop their flood insurance coverage and later suffer damage in future disasters?
What we see, sir, is as premiums rise, more people will drop their insurance. 20% loss for the NFIP would be devastating. And it will certainly be devastating in the communities to working class families who have no insurance. And in the end, we shouldn't kid ourselves that we're saving money. When we lose these families, the federal government will wind up coming in later with aid packages. And certainly we know that mitigation is the solution, and having affordable premiums is a solution to having a viable flood insurance program.
Yeah, I want to talk about mitigation in the last minute or so that I have. Look, this doesn't even deal with people who have a mortgage in which they must have flood insurance in order to sustain their mortgage, or they're in default. I can imagine how many families in America we're going to put in default at the end of the day. Any long-term reauthorization must include robust funding for mitigation to decrease the risk profile of the NFIP and provide a sound financial path forward for families and the program. If we know right now which homes are most at risk, we shouldn't wait until a flood to step in and help. For every dollar spent on mitigation, it's been proven the federal government saves $6 on the back end. So, Mr. Quinn, as a homeowner, wouldn't you want mitigation assistance up front to protect your home rather than waiting until disaster strikes and finding yourself, as you were, someone who served our country as a Marine honorably, someone who went through Superstorm Sandy, you would have wanted to have mitigated the possibility of that risk for your home. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely, sir, especially knowing the kind of devastation that families go through after they're flooded.
Well, that's why my NFP React boosts increased cost of compliance coverage and make it available for policyholders to elevate their homes, for example, before the next storm happens. In addition, our legislation repurposes existing post-disaster programs to make billions of dollars of mitigation funds available today. We're going to come in when these disasters strike, have flood insurance, don't have flood insurance. You know that the federal government is going to come in. So why not mitigate before? I have one last question. I have the indulgence of the chair. FEMA has taken the unusual step of proposing an unsolicited NFIP reauthorization bill, Congress. I find that interesting. When I looked through the text, it was familiar to me. That's because it mirrors the past administration proposal, as well as members who really have no desire to see the national flood insurance continue. One of FEMA's provisions is to bar new small businesses and vulnerable homes from any type of NFIP coverage. What would happen to communities if there was no longer NFIP coverage for vulnerable homes and small businesses?
Sir, I can't imagine why we would ever think to restrict small businesses and not encourage them to grow and flourish. Their impact on local communities, having local small businesses, is very big on the local economy, and certainly losing our small businesses or having them at risk for flood with no ability to recover afterwards would hurt communities that are impacted by flood.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Senator.